Hi everybody and welcome to today's countdown. And as we know, there's just 5 days to go now before we launch the Inside Track globally to the world. Very excited, as you know. And also just want to start today's video by saying a massive thank you to everybody who joined us for the Facebook Live yesterday. And helped me through some of the technical challenges there too, but we had a great time on the Ask Me Anything. And again, if you've got any other questions or your question wasn't answered or didn't come up, just post it in here and I would be happy to address that or answer that as well. So, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, today we're going to be doing a little deep dive on Chapter 7. Now, Chapter 7 is a very powerful chapter, and it's really where I was discussing with my Elite Mentorship Forum, my Master Circle, the people I was writing these letters to, a specific intervention. And this was a suicide intervention that I did in the medical line in Pentonville. And the reason it was included was because I really wanted to show people how you can shift somebody's mindset very quickly and permanently in a short amount of time, even in an extreme case like this. And a lot of the time people get scared or inadvertently they reinforce the patterns that they're trying to help people with. And so I break down, well, what's my thought process? What's my language patterns? How am I navigating this particular intervention? And I lay it all out. And it was quite powerful. I decided to share it, and I'm very glad that I just chose to keep this chapter in to be able to share with you as well. So please, there's no magic pills. Use this information responsibly to try and help. And as you'll see in the beginning of the book, I also put an author's disclaimer in there as well as a standard publisher's disclaimer. And the author's disclaimer is probably something like you haven't read before in a book. So that'll be your first page. Anyway, the challenge with suicides, and the most common aspect of suicides or people that are suicidal, is that they don't have a compelling future. And therefore, they're in so much pain that they feel that checking out is the only way of getting out of pain. They're pain if they move forward, if they move back, if they move left, they move right. There's no options, and they're so desperate to try to get out of their current situation. The only way out of it is to commit suicide. So if you can create a compelling future for somebody, and I do address this as well in Chapter 1, and don't get me wrong, most people who talk about suicide, and this is no disrespect, are not actually genuinely looking to go through with it. Now, the reason I say that is because most people that are claiming to be suicidal, it's not a wolf cry, it's just a scream for love. It's a scream for attention, significance, or validation. It's a cry for help. But this particular suicide was not. This was genuine. This was an authentic possibility, and I explain a little bit how I calibrate that as well. But I break that down, and we go into a little bit of detail about what happened during those 10 minutes and how, what really goes on in the mind of somebody who is genuinely seeking to kill themselves, and how do you stop that? And this is an unforgiving environment. Bearing in mind, prison suicide is through the roof, and we had 3 deaths in 1 week in Pentonville. 2 of those from suicide. So it's a real deal. It's a real issue. I also talk about in Chapter 7 the concept of what I call transferable skills. One of the things you'll notice in one of the letters at the back of the book is from a guy who's in there as a pretty much a major drug dealer, and I befriended him and I was helping to coach him because he was desperately seeking a way out, but he didn't know anything other than selling drugs. That had been his life, and he was good at it. What he failed to realize was the skills that he was using were transferable. And you're dealing with a situation where you're working with supply and demand. You're working with competition that can actually be very violent if you go up against them. You're dealing with inventory, you're dealing with cash flow, you're dealing with all sorts of stuff, running an illegal drugs business, most of which you can transfer into a legitimate business. And there's a lot of aspects to that that's important, because we also have transferable skills in different parts of our life. If you have the discipline to be able to show up for work at 4 o'clock in the morning on an early shift, then that same discipline can be used to lift the 11th rep on a workout when you think you can only do 5. So a lot of the time we have discipline in one area of our life, and then we flop in other areas of our life because we think we don't have discipline. Whereas we do, we just don't know how to map that across. We don't know how to code that or anchor that into our current physiology, so that we can call on that same level of discipline when it comes to doing something that we usually resist. So, transferable skills are great. If you're really good at talking to your kids, then you will probably be very good at being able to, persuade people in business. But sometimes we get, because of the label, oh, parent, that's what I do. But, business owner or, negotiator is something I've never worn as a label. So therefore we don't bring those skills across because they don't fit who we think we are. There's many different aspects to that, and I go into that on how I was helping transform some of the prisoners in there and getting them away from the, let's say, the illegal business trades that they've been doing, and showing them how that they'd already gotten essentially what I'd call a street MBA, and now they could bring that into the modern world, because let's face it, we live in a time in history that has an absolute abundance of opportunity that has never existed before. You don't have to go and do anything that crosses the boundary of legality to be able to create wealth or add value to the world. I mean, it's just not an option. So that's something else that I cover in chapter 7, as well as a lot of other usual stuff. So anyway, that's our message for today. If you've got any questions, please post them in. Again, thank you so much. Remember, if we're channeling through to August the 1st, which is Wednesday, this Wednesday coming up, we're going to post the links not only for the UK, but also the US or North America. So they'll be going live in the morning in both of those respective time zones. As soon as you see it, please click on the link, support me and buy the book. And chances are we are going to be selling out. We're talking to several different resellers and stockists right now to sort of preempt them, because it looks like there's going to be quite a heavy run on the book. So make sure that you don't jump in early when you get the link, otherwise it may be sold out. If it is sold out on one particular distributor, we will then be posting other links, but they may not be as cheap, because we're going to go in order of price, for the discounts first. Now, we don't control that. The recommended retail price of the book is actually £15 in the UK, $20 in the US, 25 in Canada. We will be posting links where it's cheaper on August 1st, in addition to sending you the ebook and the audio book and a load of other goodies free of charge. So please spread the word. Please keep following these videos, and we're going to be having 4 days to go tomorrow. And tomorrow is going to be a great video, because I discuss the title of the chapter tomorrow in the book is called Date Night. And it's how Thea and I managed to set up date night in prison, and the impetus behind that, and what we were able to do with that, and how we're able to put something into a relationship in a 5-minute perspective that transformed that level of relationship just by approaching it from a different angle. Anyway, more will be revealed tomorrow. Thanks again for your support. Please invite your friends into the page. We're almost into the 900s now, so thank you again for your support, guys. I do love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.